Wow, Teddy really went off the deep end, didn't she? Just finished the latest episode, and, spoiler alert, what a shocker! She's mad at Owen for doing exactly what they both agreed to do in their open marriage. I mean, sure, she wanted the whole open marriage deal, kissed someone before the thing was even official, and now she's throwing a fit because Owen actually followed through. What did she think was going to happen? Everyone just holds hands and sings Kumbaya. Please. And look, I'm not the biggest fan of Owen, so me defending him is like a personal betrayal at this point. But seriously, who is she to act like he's the villain here? He's doing the open marriage thing, so of course he's going to sleep with someone else. We all know the real reason she's losing it. He got that woman pregnant. But hey, let's not pretend like she didn't see this coming. To be fair, I don't think she's that mad at him. More like sad and disappointed it went down the way it did. But honestly, she's still wrong. She had every right to feel how she feels, but maybe she should have thought about how this would play out before pushing Owen to go all in on the open marriage. You know, like, before the baby bomb dropped. Why all the Amelia hate? Honestly, I don't get it. Amelia is literally my favorite character on Grey's. I mean, come on, how can you not love a woman who's a total mess, but at least tries to do the right thing? She's got big emotions and she knows it. Instead of shoving them down and pretending they don't exist, she honors them. Wow, what a concept. Plus, she's out here wanting to love and be loved even though she's terrified and has lost almost everything that mattered to her. Heartwarming, right? And that scene where she sends Owen off with Teddy and says, "She's Teddy, she's here, and she's having your baby?" If you don't feel for her in that moment, I don't know what to tell you. Talk about selflessness. It's almost like she cares about everyone else except herself for a second. Almost. Now let's talk about her being mad that Meredith unplugged Derek before she could say goodbye. Let's see, Amelia's brother, who was basically both a sibling and a father figure to her, the one person who always had her back, even though he was kind of an ass sometimes, just got yanked away without even a chance for her to grieve properly. And Meredith? Nah, she doesn't think Amelia has the right to be upset. Sure, Meredith, go ahead and be the center of the universe, no big deal. But Amelia, she'll never have another brother again. So yeah, I can totally justify her being mad and sad. Amelia's not just some quirky character. She's a brilliant surgeon who's honest to a fault with her big emotions. And even though she falls apart and rises again like it's her job, that's what makes her so real. Love her. And while we're at it, let's talk about the Amelia/Maggie comparison. It's like they're two sides of the same coin. Maggie? She's got the worst case of only child syndrome known to mankind. Everything has to revolve around her, or she might just implode. Amelia, on the other hand, has the ultimate youngest child syndrome. Nothing was ever about her, and if anything is about her for more than 5 seconds. Cue the overthinking until she's either high as a kite or about to puke. Seriously, pick your poison. Oh wow, Season 11 of Grey's Anatomy, where the writers seemed to have decided that cheerfulness was overrated. Watching it, you'd think the entire show's goal was to explore the deepest pits of despair and then take a detour through a canyon of grief. Seriously, who hurt them in the writer's room? It's like they decided to make everyone's life as bleak as possible and then cranked the melodrama to 11. And let's not even get started on the music, sleeping at last every other scene, like they were trying to make us cry into our cereal. First of all, Christina's gone, and as if that wasn't tragic enough, they kill off DEREK too. As if we needed that extra punch to the gut. And just when you think it can't get any worse, we get Japril's baby drama and their marriage completely falling apart, as if the universe isn't already giving them a good enough dose of sorrow. But nope, let's pile on some more, like Nicole Herman almost dying, Callie and Arizona's breakup, and oh yeah, patients just dropping like flies in every episode. It was like the Grey's writers got a memo that said, "Make everyone cry, constantly." You couldn't escape the dark cloud hanging over each episode. Every 5 seconds, some flashback from hell or a sad montage would pop up, driving home that no one was allowed to have a single moment of peace. Now, as if that wasn't bad enough, they decided to split the season into episodes focusing on 2 characters, which meant pacing was, well, let's say, questionable. You get an episode where DEREK and Amelia are at each other's throats, with the obligatory sad childhood flashbacks that left you wondering how many tragic backstories these characters had to dig up just to fill 45 minutes of screen time. And then, just when you thought you could breathe again, it was J'April's turn to wallow in their tragic mess, and we get another round of sad flashbacks. It was like an endless carousel of misery. But you know what? Despite all the despair, I've got to admit, I kind of love season 11. Yeah, you heard that right. Sure, the show was in full emotionally devastating mode, but it's also when Meredith really started stepping up as the no-nonsense, girl-boss version of herself we love today. That's when she went full, "I'm not gonna cry about it" mode, and honestly, it was a breath of fresh air. On top of that, Amelia's surgery on Nichols' tumor, chef's kiss. That was some of the best medical drama Grey's has ever done. Plus, DEREK's death? Hated him, so I was actually kind of thrilled to see him go, don't at me. Meredith's reaction and the aftermath of his death gave her such incredible depth that, honestly, it became her story from that point forward. It's like season 11 is where Grey's Anatomy finally found its true identity, and Meredith was at the center of it all. So yeah, it's dark, it's depressing, and it's an emotional roller coaster, but there's something about it that just works. So I just wrapped up season 10, and I have a super unpopular opinion about Arizona and Callie. After sitting with it, here's the thing. It honestly felt like Callie loved Arizona a heck of a lot more than Arizona ever loved Callie. I mean, seriously, I spent the whole season watching Callie bend over backward, sacrificing everything, compromising like she's on a mission, all to make their relationship work. But Arizona, it was like she couldn't even match that energy. It was honestly like a one-woman show, with Callie always playing the role of whatever Arizona needs. While Arizona's contribution seemed like, maybe I'll be a decent human being today. But hey, maybe that's just my take, and I'm totally sure I'm in the minority here. And you know what? Callie's pretty much like that in all her relationships. She's basically the queen of diving in headfirst, without even checking if the pool's full. It's not always the healthiest thing. Speaking of Callie being a literal warrior, I just rewatched the car crash episode and wow, I totally forgot how messed up she was. Traumatic brain injury, chest injuries, and oh yeah, infertility. Yet never once does she turn into a ball of resentment or blame Arizona for what happened. But Arizona? Oh no, let's just say she's a bit more vocal about her trauma, especially when it comes to her leg. A little dramatic, don't you think? I mean, seriously, Callie is a total badass. How anyone can downplay her is beyond me. She's honestly one of my favorite characters, and she's probably one of the most trustworthy people in the whole series. I'm watching this for the first time, so I'm still in season 10, but yeah, Callie's gold. Honestly, what did Callie do? She gave up her dream of having kids just to be with Arizona. She never once blamed her for the wreck that nearly killed her. She literally put her own happiness on the back burner to save Arizona's leg. And what did Arizona do? Oh, you know, just casually agreed to be a stepmom. So much effort on her end. The issue with Grey's right now? It's all telling, not learning. My biggest frustration is that the show spends way too much time just dumping information on us instead of letting us naturally figure it out. And no, I'm not talking about the main characters, though there's plenty to gripe about there too. I mean the one-off patients. You know the ones, those people we see once, and instead of their backstory unfolding through conversations or actions, we get hit with an info dump all at once. Like this, a doctor walks in, "Hey, Charlie, how's it going?" Charlie responds with, "I'm okay. I don't want the surgery. I love the beach. I collect seashells. I make jewelry out of them. Started it for my wife. She passed away." This isn't how people talk. It's like they're reading a script for an AI model designed to not sound human. It's forced, robotic, and makes me want to skip the whole scene. Honestly, it makes these characters feel like they're there to check off a list of tragic backstories, not like real people. Remember the recent episode with Griffith and her old teacher? Same issue. Instead of letting the situation build and unfold, she just spits out everything right away, as if the audience couldn't handle some subtlety. Here's what I wish they would do instead. Charlie is sick, refusing life-saving surgery, but doesn't explain why. Bailey tells an intern to spend time with him, figure out what's going on. The intern, of course, is annoyed, because who wouldn't want to spend hours getting emotionally manipulated by a stranger? But whatever, they're stuck. They talk, they try to connect, but Charlie shuts them down. "I know what you're doing. You're trying to show me how great life is, so I'll change my mind. Guess what? It's not working. I don't want the surgery. There's nothing for me. Just stop wasting your time." Now we, the audience, and the intern are starting to realize Charlie's not just stubborn, he's depressed. Why? We don't know yet, but now we're interested. The intern, slightly invasive, starts snooping around Charlie's room. Seashells, everywhere, some turned into jewelry. A clue, but not the whole picture. Still, the intern's thinking, beach. So the intern and Bailey take Charlie to the beach, hoping it'll help. Charlie still resists the surgery. The intern finally asks about the shells, and bam! Charlie opens up about his late wife. His emotions come pouring out. He misses her, and he just can't find the strength to keep fighting. Finally, we understand, and now we care. We feel for him, and we see the emotional weight of the moment. It matters. It has depth. Maybe they convince him to have the surgery, or maybe he still refuses, and that could spin the story in a whole new direction. But here's where the beauty of Grey's lies: the emotional build-up, the slow reveal. It lets us learn, not just know. Contrast that with what the show's doing now, rushing everything, giving us no chance to feel connected. It's like a crash course in emotional flatness. I get it, times change, but why does it feel like everything is being dumbed down? Like, I don't need a 40-second monologue about how I'm supposed to feel. Show me, let me feel it. And no, this isn't about the social message stuff. It's just the way every single scene feels like it's being spoon-fed to us. The subtlety is gone, and it's painful to watch. They need to raise their writing game for real. This is exactly why I always say the first 5 seasons, especially the first 3, were amazing. We learned about the characters and their stories without the info dump. Every patient's journey somehow mirrored the doctor's struggles, and it always felt like there was an emotional payoff. The writing was sharp, smart, and deeply connected. You know, it's funny, because I think you just nailed the classic writing tip: show, don't tell. It's such an obvious one, but the show's forgotten it. And I bet it's not even an issue of not knowing how to write. It's probably because they're churning out scripts so fast that by the time they get to the final draft, the subtlety is long gone. All right, so let's talk about Arizona telling Jackson about April's second pregnancy. I know my opinion might ruffle some feathers, but hear me out. First, yeah, what Arizona did was pretty much wrong. If this were real life, it would be illegal, and she'd probably lose her license, get fired, and end up in a lawsuit. From a doctor's perspective, she absolutely crossed a line. But here's where I think people are overreacting. Was it as bad as everyone says? Because honestly, from a friend's point of view, it's a little more complicated. Look, it was a terrible move to spill the beans, especially when April was about to tell Jackson herself. Awful timing. But I get where Arizona was coming from. April wasn't planning to do any testing on the baby, and Arizona is a pediatric and neonatal surgeon. She knows the risks of not getting tests. It's not rocket science. If something's wrong with the baby, catching it early could be the difference between a manageable issue and something catastrophic. And considering how differently Jackson and April feel about childcare, I can totally see why Arizona was panicking. She wanted to make sure that baby had a shot at a healthy future. But let's be real, Arizona wasn't just trying to protect the baby's health. That's part of it, sure, but mostly, I think she was trying to get Jackson involved. She wanted him to know about the baby so he could have a say in its life. Not for the baby's health, but because she saw herself as the person who needed to make that decision. It was more about making sure he'd be in the picture, and let's face it, it was definitely more about her personal involvement in their lives than it was about a medical emergency. Now, the whole 12-week wait thing? Yeah, it's questionable. I get why April waited. A lot of people do. They want to make sure the pregnancy is viable and don't want to deal with the potential heartbreak of an early miscarriage. Plus, April didn't want Jackson to feel pressured into staying married to her just because of the pregnancy. Fair enough, but also 12 weeks is a long time. I think that's a bit too much time to keep this big news to yourself when you're dealing with a person like Jackson. At some point, she should have been like, okay, this is my decision. I'm telling him, and we'll figure out how to co-parent. The delay made things messier. Overall, though, it's just a mess. I get where both sides are coming from. Arizona was trying to protect the baby, but honestly, she was still wrong to spill the news. And I think everyone else at the hospital overreacted a bit. Yes, she made a mistake, but no, it wasn't the world-ending disaster people made it out to be. And before you get all Arizona's totally in the wrong, let's not forget that Arizona was a friend and a doctor, and she failed at both of those roles here. She betrayed April's trust, plain and simple. It wasn't Arizona's job to decide when Jackson got the news. If it had been any other couple, you know for a fact she wouldn't have crossed that line. And let's be real, April's only real mistake was not picking a doctor who wasn't personally involved in her life. Arizona was too close to the situation to be objective. And that's the part that really grinds my gears. It didn't matter what April planned or didn't plan to do. She was processing this huge life change, and Arizona had zero right to hijack her moment. She was already dealing with the weight of it all. Arizona should have stepped back and let April tell Jackson on her own time. Instead, she made everything way more complicated than it needed to be. Is Grey's Anatomy ever going to end? Let's be real for a second. Grey's has been a cultural powerhouse for so many people. For me, it kicked off a few months before I was born, and because of it, I'm now on track to become a pharmaceutical neuroscientist. Crazy, right? Sure, the show has long passed its prime, but you better believe I'm still ridiculously excited every Thursday for the new episode. Yeah, I literally clear my schedule and cancel plans just to curl up and watch it. But here's the thing. I know there are people who've fallen out of love with Grey's, and those who never really got into it, wondering, why in the world is this show still on? We all know it's building up to a huge, grand finale with a highly anticipated final season. But here's the real question I'm wondering. Do you think Grey's is waiting for a specific season to call it quits? Because, let's face it, season 21 feels like an awkward number to end on. But now that we know it's renewed for another season, I'm just curious. Could it be that they're aiming for a specific number to wrap things up? Like how every season seems to have 24 episodes, maybe they'll wait for season 24 to be the end-all. What do you guys think? My bet? They're going to keep milking it until they can't make any more money off new episodes. Let's not forget, every time a new season drops on Netflix, it makes the top 10, so I don't see them ending it anytime soon. Honestly, I think they're just waiting for Zola, Bailey, or Ellis to be interns. Can you imagine an intern class with Bailey, Ellis, Sophia, and Harriet? Grace has built such a dedicated fan base that it's easier for them to keep those viewers locked in with new episodes, guaranteeing revenue, rather than taking a risk on something completely new that might flop. Dr. Odyssey, anyone? Literally every other show on ABC got renewed except that one. Rewatching Grey's Anatomy and reassessing my love for Alex Karev. I'm at the beginning of season 6, and wow, I forgot just how much of a total jerk this guy can be. I used to love him because of his brutal honesty, but seeing him interact with Izzy while she's sick is honestly making me want to gag. And let's be clear, I don't even like Izzy, but when she gets cancer, she actually handles it with more grace than I ever expected. After she admits it, she's strong, even hopeful. Alex, not so much. The guy is just terrible. He yells at her, belittles her, complains about being stuck with her. And once she gets a little better and leaves the hospital, he completely pulls away. It's like he checks out emotionally, as if her illness is just too much of a hassle for him. I just watched the scene where Izzy says she misses George and Alex's response, "Oh, you miss George? Real seductive." Ugh, watching that was like a punch to the gut. How can the writers make him so cruel to her when she was literally all he wanted? It's a lot to stomach. And the whole cancer arc? Brutal. Alex was straight up awful to her. I get that Izzy's final episode wasn't originally intended to be her last, but even if Katherine Hagel had stayed, I can't fathom how they could have salvaged that relationship. At Izzy's most vulnerable, facing her own mortality, needing support from the person who supposedly loved her, Alex's main concern is how inconvenienced he is by her illness. He's actually angry she's not dying fast enough, and at one point, he even contemplates that smothering her might be easier than being stuck in this marriage. And the kicker? He tells her that's exactly what he's thinking. Like, wow. The line, "I miss George," real seductive, is hands down my least favorite moment in the entire series. It's a gut punch. Izzy is trying to be vulnerable, talking about how lonely she feels, missing Alex, wishing she could feel like herself again. And Alex, being the class act that he is, distills all of her pain into a comment about how she's not sexy enough. That was just cruel. She's already hurting, and he takes her vulnerability and twists it, making her feel worse. Then he immediately jumps into bed with Lexi like nothing happened. That's not just a betrayal of Izzy, that's emotional abuse. And the icing on the cake? He breaks up with Izzy after emotionally wrecking her throughout their marriage, thinking he's the good guy who deserves better. Newsflash, no, Alex, you're delusional. I get why I loved him at first. Meredith's perspective really softened his rough edges. But in reality, Christina's advice to mock him or retaliate is the only way you'd survive around him. Otherwise, he's just insufferable, bordering on abusive.